Okay, so it's past 3 a.m. here in the Middle East, here in Israel. But let me tell you this, more people were awake than asleep, especially because of the press conference that Trump held with Prime Minister Netanyahu, because Trump just dropped a bombshell that could change the Middle East forever. He said that the United States, listen carefully, might take control of Gaza permanently. Yes, you heard me right. Donald Trump, standing next to Benjamin Netanyahu, announced that he wants to move Palestinians out of Gaza, resettle them somewhere else, safe, and rebuild the region from scratch. Now, with this report, I want to talk to you about what do I think about it? How is it going to affect, obviously, the feelings of regional countries here, neighboring countries? But let me tell you why mainly this is not just a good plan, it's the most practical solution anyone has put on the table in decades, actually. Shalom from Israel, I'm Hanan Naftali, and this is your latest update from the Middle East. And today I'm going to explain why this move could finally break the cycle of war, suffering, and death that has plagued Gaza for generations, actually. So grab coffee, sit back, and listen up, because this is huge. Gaza is not a livable place, thanks to Hamas, of course. Trump even called it a demolition site. And he's absolutely right. The place is a war zone. Bombed out buildings used by Hamas, tunnels full of terrorists. Every couple of years, there's another war, another round of destruction. It's a constant cycle of death and misery. And Hamas controls Gaza with an iron fist, guys. This is not just my opinion. They've been terrorizing both Palestinians and Israelis for years. They hoard humanitarian aid, build terror tunnels with aid, with money that was supposed to get to the people. They use civilians as human shields. This is why Gaza has remained a nightmare. And now after the most recent war, things are worse than ever. Because you can't just fix the mess by pretending Gaza will magically rebuild itself. Because Hamas embedded itself in civilian populations, civilian neighborhoods. So just like Trump said, basically it's a demolition site. Trump is right. It's time to move people out of that death trap. Now, some people are already screaming, forced displacement, ethnic cleansing. Hanania, how dare you say that? Trump, shame on you. Give me a break. What's truly inhumane is forcing people to stay in a place where they're guaranteed to suffer. Do you know what life is like for a child in Gaza under Hamas? It's hell. What future do they have? If Trump, who has he was a brilliant real estate business, before he entered politics, he dealt with real estate, with business. So Trump, if he can create an alternative, a safe place with real homes, schools, jobs, and a future, why wouldn't Palestinians take that deal? Anyone who opposes this plan should ask themselves, actually, are you really worried about Palestinians or just using them for political points? Because keeping them trapped in Gaza is not compassion, it's cruelty. Now, I can already imagine the protests, because they always have to reinvent themselves and find new things to blame Israel for, and now the Trump administration for. So I can already imagine them protesting this plan, except that now the pro-Hamas protesters will show their true colors. They will protest against Trump's plan and demand that the Palestinian civilians will continue to be used as human shields by Hamas in Gaza. My goodness, that's going to be a sight to behold. But for real, let's not pretend that this is some new evil American plot. Arab leaders have had 70 years to come up with solutions. Not just Arab leaders, Western leaders as well, that try to solve this. This is one of the most complicated conflicts to solve. And what have they done? Nothing. Jordan and Egypt, by the way, that we saw it on the news, they're already trying to push back and to say that they're not going to take any Palestinians. But Trump is not buying it. I just loved how the press kept on asking him, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Because Egypt and Jordan, they're saying no, they're rejecting your plan. And he just said, flat out, they're not going to say no. I'm sure that they're not going to say no to you. And honestly, they better say yes with the billions of dollars that they got from the United States. They owe all the security they have and the peace that they live in to the United States that provided them with that aid. But also, it's never a good idea to come against Trump. Remember when Mexico and Canada said that they wouldn't cooperate on Trump's border policies? Yeah, that didn't last long. You remember how the president of Colombia refused to allow planes with deported illegal immigrants to land in Colombia? But after Trump imposed 25% import tax on them and all kinds of other gifts, it took him exactly 6 minutes to change his mind. Trump knows how to apply pressure and get results. He's not some weakling like Biden who begs for support. Plus, if we're already talking about Arab countries, let's talk about Qatar. They are already hosting Hamas leaders in luxury hotels. They, by the way, just said that they will agree to host Palestinian terrorists released from Israeli prisons, exchanging this hostage deal. So, if they can roll out the red carpet for terrorists, why can't they build a safe communities for Palestinian people? I'll tell you why. Because the Arab world has been using Palestinians as political pawns for decades. They were fine with the Palestinians suffering. They want Palestinians to stay in Gaza, miserable and angry, because it keeps the focus on Israel. As long as the Palestinians are suffering, people are going to talk about that and not going to talk about other topics. They're going to blame Israel. They're going to protest against Israel. And quite frankly, there were countries and leaders that were okay with that. But Trump is about to flip the whole chessboard. Looks like making America great again is not enough for Trump because he's already working on making the Middle East great again. Now, also I've got to give credit to Netanyahu here because he's standing shoulder to shoulder with Trump, making it crystal clear that Hamas will be destroyed, no compromises. Netanyahu, interesting thing, he read one Bible verse today in front of Trump, and it reads, "The people of Israel shall rise like lions," from the book of Numbers. This is a moment of destiny for Israel because the days of tolerating terror are over. Hamas is not coming out of this war alive. Netanyahu reminded everybody, and I just love that part. I don't know if all of you guys watched it, but we Israelis were basically glued to the screen watching this press. Netanyahu reminded everyone that just like America didn't stop fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda, Israel will not stop until Hamas is wiped off the map. And he is right. You don't negotiate with terrorists, you eliminate them. Period. This alliance, I gotta say, between Trump and Netanyahu is driving Hamas and Iran insane. They know what's coming. Iran thought they could continue funding terror with no consequences, but that's not gonna, fly under Trump's watch. It's not Joe Biden era, who spent 4 years, kissing up to Iran. Trump has already proven he's willing to take out America's enemies. Remember when he took out Qasem Soleimani? Yeah, that sent a pretty strong message. The interesting point is that while some see, and I gotta say, before I say this thought, this is why Trump, I believe, succeeded in the business world and also in the political world, because where others see conflict and problems, Trump tries to see it as a key to solve some sort of a problem. So Trump sees Gaza not just as a conflict and as a major problem, but Trump sees it as a key to solve a lot of the conflict in the Middle East. Because at the same time, he's pushing for expanding the Abraham Accords. More Arab countries are going to make peace with Israel. That's what I understand from watching the press conference. And you can bet that Saudi Arabia is going to play a major role in this. Do you think that this would have been happening if Biden was still in charge? Not a chance. Under Biden, we got chaos. Wars broke out, Ukraine, Israel, and across the Middle East. Under Trump, we had historic peace deals. So actually, Netanyahu said also in a press conference that if Trump stayed in office for 6 more months in his first term, Israel would have had normalization agreement with Saudi Arabia. That's a very interesting point. So, say what you want to say about the man, but facts are facts. Trump knows how to make peace by being strong. And here's another important point. When Trump was in office, Iran was broke. They didn't have the money to fund Hamas and Hezbollah. Why? Because Trump crushed their economy with sanctions. Under Biden, Iran was getting stronger and richer, selling oil to China and pumping cash into terror networks. That's why October 7th happened. Weak leadership leads to war. Strong leadership brings peace. It's really that simple. Now, I have some people asking, as I said, but what about the right of return? Shouldn't Palestinians be able to go back to Gaza once it's all rebuilt, once the Trump solution for Gaza is complete? Well, here's my question in response. Why would they want to return? Seriously, Gaza has been a living hell for decades. Trump himself said it today. Who would want to go back? They've experienced nothing but death and destruction. He is right. Palestinians deserve a chance at a fresh start, and Trump is offering that. So if the Palestinians are living great life somewhere, enjoying, thriving, without fear of terror, war, and conflict, why would they want to return back to Gaza? And, I think that one of the reasons why this question exists in the first place, and why Palestinians keep returning to northern Gaza that has been, it's a complete demolition site, it's because they don't have an alternative. They don't have anything else. And there are already voices and videos coming from Gaza where people accept Trump's plan and say that they're ready to get the heck out of Gaza. So the bottom line is this. The proposal by Trump is bold, and that's exactly what's needed right now. Playing safe hasn't worked. We've tried peace summits, ceasefires, and two-state solutions negotiations. None of it worked because nobody cared to challenge the status quo. Trump is breaking the mold. He's saying, let's get the hostages back, get the people out of Gaza, build them real lives elsewhere, and finally end the cycle of violence and turn Gaza eventually, according to what I understand from the press conference, to an international Middle East hub. Something like that, where Palestinians can live there, everybody can live there. I mean, look, Gaza without Hamas has a lot of potential. It has the whole beachfront. It could be like Trump said, Middle Eastern Riviera. So it has a lot of potential, and I stand with him on this. It's time to stop tiptoeing around the issue and start fixing it. Guys, before I wrap this up, let me say this. Critical days are ahead of Israel, ahead of us. So stay in the loop. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and connect with me on my Telegram channel for 24/7 updates around the clock. We're going to have incredible 4 years, so it's going to be really interesting with a lot of historic updates. So let's make sure that we stay connected. And also, if you want to support Israel, take a stand against BDS, against Hamas, check out the israelstore.com. Every purchase makes a difference in this battle for truth. And of course, you get to support local businesses in Israel. So Thank you for tuning in. I'm Hanan Naftali, and I'll be back soon with more truth from the heart of the Middle East. Shalom from Israel.